Early on, I realized that there was nepotism in the organization, even though I didn't understand what nepotism was at the time, right? Because I was housed with Senon Grajeda, Chilito from La Rana, and his brother Cuate is an individual I knew in San Quentin when I was in my early years, my first stint. And then I heard of his brother Wino, Thomas Grajeda, and I said, well, there's three guys, right? Three guys that are carnales. And it struck me as like, how did they get in to the organization? Then I met the Moreno brothers. Mike Boo was there with me as well, and he had four other brothers that were, well, the three other brothers, because one wasn't a carnalia, T-Bug hadn't been made. But it was pretty early on that I realized there was a lot of favoritism and a lot of behind the scenes work in making these family dynasties.
Now, you had an older brother that was incarcerated at the time. I'm not sure if he was incarcerated at the same time you were being made, but was there ever thoughts in your mind, I want my older brother to be a part of the organization so I could have some leverage?
No, in fact, the exact opposite is true. Um, my brother Mark was in Folsom with me in Folsom State Prison. I had just got made, and um, I tried to shield him from everything. In fact, there was one instance where they asked, yeah, Mark actually volunteered to put in some work. I'm on the shoe yard. We're in shoe 2, Angel Stump Valencia, Mariano Martinez, and a couple, Spider from Cantaranas. We're on the yard. I believe Spider was there. I may be mistaken. But there was only a few of us back in the shoe because the rest of the members had been released to the general population. And my brother was there, and he was on the yard with me, and Stump wanted somebody beat up. He didn't want him stabbed, but he wanted him beat up. So my brother jumped at the chance, and I was like, no, what's the matter with you? This is live fire here. All shots are fired for effect. They don't do warning shots. And he said, no, I want to do it. So I let him do it. And him and another person beat this guy up in the yard, right under the gun tower, got away with it. And that was that. But David Paez, Big Puppet from Florencia, attempted to sponsor my brother in later years. And I shot my brother down. No, I don't want my brother to be a part of this.
That's unusual that the little brother is trying to shield the big brother. Why wouldn't you want him there? Because you already know that that's going to be a power move for you when it comes to future business dealings.
Yeah, I mean, it could have played that way, but I knew my brother as well. I knew my brother, he wasn't a killer. He didn't have it in him. I'm sure, at the point of me telling him, let's go do this, he would have did it. But I didn't want that for him. And I just knew he didn't have it in him. He was a heroin addict, and that took priority over everything for him. And I knew that would get him in a wreck eventually. And I'd already seen that. I mean, the veil had been pulled back, kind of like in the Wizard of Oz, when Dorothy and the Tin Man and the Lion, and they go and they pull back the curtain on the wizard, and he's just some man pulling strings. That veil had been pulled for me. I had seen the organization early on. It was chaotic. I thought it was a brotherhood, but it really wasn't. It was like everybody backstabbing everybody. There was still some semblance of camaraderie and friendship and carnalismo. But that fell by the wayside. And when politics flew, the first guy that got whacked there was Moe Ferrill. And they killed him after Alfie had went into PC, Alfie Sosa. Alfie's the one that should have been killed, but they killed Moe because Moe beat him up in the cell. And I was like, this is kind of topsy-turvy. This is kind of counterintuitive, right? You're killing the guy who beat somebody up. Okay, he broke the rules. He beat up a carnal. But the guy that PC'd up and came back out, Alfie Sosa, the only member in the history of the organization to lock up and come back out and survive. They let him live. Yeah. So I was like, nah, I'm not getting my brother in this. So that's why I stopped it. It was just too chaotic.
And would you say that the Alfie definitely deserved, I don't know, maybe he probably deserved to be on disregard, like never, was this the mere requesting of PC the issue for Alfie, or was it him? Did he actually get removed and went to protective custody and came back? Was that what it was?
He did. When I first got there, I didn't know Alfie. And I got there. He was on I think it was C section, second tier in Shoe 2 in Folsom, and that was the PC tier. And I get up to the upper tier, fifth tier C section. I'm in cell 29, and I go out to the yard, and Shy tells me, he says, "Hey, be careful what you say around him. We're going to take him out as soon as we get a chance. We don't want to try it back here, because all we can get out is plastic knives, and we don't want to. We want to make sure we kill him because he knows a lot." And then he told me the story that Alfie had locked up. They convinced him to come off the second tier. The Cardenales Shy and Joe Morgan. Shy as Raymond Shryock. Told him, "Hey, bro, what's the matter?" And Alfie had 2 black eyes, and he was beaten up thoroughly. And he said, "Well, Mo beat me up. You know, I wanted to protect him, so I came to protective custody." That was his story, right? I wanted to protect him. I didn't want him to get killed for it. And he came back up to the tiers. And I always had this in my head about Alfie, like, oh, he PC'd up. And the first chance that were presented with, we were going to kill him, right? That was what I was told. But he goes to the general population, and he survives. Danny Boy Pina and Angel Valencia kill Moe Ferrill in the cell, and Alfie agrees to testify on their behalf. He agrees to testify that Mo was a violent individual, assaulted him in the cell, and he was a killer, and it's quite frankly, it's probably what kept Angel Valencia and Danny Boy Pina off of death row. And because he testified on their behalf and was willing to accept his death, the decision was left to Danny and Angel whether to kill him or not, and they gave him a pass. They said, look, all he's done a dozen murders for the organization. He testified on our behalf, and he's willing to accept his own death. He needs a pass, so he got a pass, and he died in good graces.
Yeah, that's incredible, because he's the only person to ever accomplish that feat, huh?
Nobody's ever PC'd and came back out.
Okay, so in 1984, you was a camarada on your way to getting made, along with Sammy Villalba. Both you guys are from Artesia. Both you guys are camaradas, and both you guys are about to be made. How was it that 2 guys from this small neighborhood in Artesia are about to be made at the same time?
Huero Shy Shryock. Well, he was our homeboy. He was our homeboy. He couldn't sponsor both of us, but he had his eye on us. And Shy was very influential at the time. He's still influential. He was a powerhouse. And Negro had the keys to one of the blocks. He was calling shots, doing hits out there on his own, and I was doing hits on my own. Nobody had to ask me. I was just a camarada. I was a gunner like anybody else, and I was just doing my bit. And I never aspired for that. Nor did Sammy. We never aspired to be mobsters. We were just repping the hood. And when they asked us to do something, we did it. Like when I got to Folsom, I end up in Sammy Villalba's cell. He's my cellie. And he's got control of 3 block. We're in 3 block in Old Folsom. And first thing he does is he pulls out a big old massive knife, like a bone crusher. He says, when we come off unlock, we're on controlled feeding right now. He says, we're going to whack 2 black guys. He says, that guy and that guy. He shows them to me. He says, the neighbor's right here and right here. He said, but we're on controlled feeding. And I said, okay. And I said, we'll do it. The next day, they come and snatch Negro up and take him to MCU, Management Control Unit. They take him and lock him up. And I'm left with the knife, and I'm flying solo. So they give me this guy Weasel from Venice to go do the hit with. I go do the hit. Weasel throws his knife over the tier, and he ends up getting whacked for it because he didn't perform. But I do the hit, and we just performed that way. I mean, we didn't have to be cajoled or threatened, we were gunners. We were shooters for the organization. So when we get to the back, we meet Shy, and Shy was like this legendary individual that we had heard of our entire gang careers, and here he is in the flesh. 1 blue eye, 1 green eye, has a very deep voice like that. He's got command presence, right? And And he starts talking to us, he starts grooming us. You know, he starts educating us, like, you guys, you know, you got down and you made me look good and I'm proud of you and all that good stuff that comes along with grooming and membership, right? And then he says that he's going to sponsor, him and Black Dan are going to sponsor Negro, but they can't sponsor two people at once. So they asked Sloppy, which is a backdoor move, right? They asked a Carnal to sponsor me for them. And that's how I got in. Sloppy Corwin Elmore sponsored me. Sloppy from Clanton sponsored me. And back then it was okay because they had the juice to do it. Joe Morgan was there. Stump Valencia was there. Nico Velasquez was there. What Squire from Flores was there. There was quite a few. Eddie Monster from Orange County was there. Chilito, Sanon Grajeda was there. There was a handful of brothers there in Shoe too, and I passed first vote. I passed. Sammy didn't. Sammy got hung up because his brother, Big Spider Manuel Villalba, was an NF member, and Cardenales were questioning whether Sammy would kill his brother if given the opportunity. And that hung him up for a couple of months, but we were sponsored at the same time. We just ended up getting in at different times because of the delay in the vote process.
Okay, that's crazy that, of course, he had to say, yeah, I'll kill my brother, but maybe he didn't really mean it.
You know, there have been a few Cardenales that have killed their brothers, right? It's happened. This is real deal stuff, right? They've killed their brothers. But I used to have nightmares about that, right? I had a couple of nightmares where in the dream or the nightmare, I had to prove my brother being killed. And I don't think I could have done it. No, not for position or money or status. I would have told my brother, let's skedaddle. Let's get out of here. You know, they're going to kill you. And then, you know, there have been a number of instances where other members, where the brothers have dropped out, they've seen them and they've done nothing, which is one of the reasons why Deadeye Ed got whacked. Because it was reported by some Sureños that they saw him with Chuco and that was just part of the, I don't know if it was true or not, I can't verify that, but that was one of the things that was thrown on Eddie. So I think it's a difficult proposition for anybody to kill your own brother. I couldn't do it.
All right, let's talk about that. After you were made in 1985, at some point you became, you started to sponsor people, and explain how you're linked to the sponsoring of Deadeye Castro from VNE.
Deadeye Ed, speak of the devil. Ernie Castro, his older brother, Chuco, was a made guy. And they had quite a few Cardenales on the streets at the time. They had Huero Shy, Black Dambarella. They had Tony Palacios, Narizon. They had Jesse Pelon Moreno, who was out there. Negro was out there. Pee Wee, a couple other guys, right? Basically the whole crew you see in the hotel meetings, right? A lot of those guys are out there. So Deadeye Ed, they're at a junta, a meeting. They used to have them at the parks. They used to invite the wives and the children and everybody, the girlfriends, and they have barbecues. And under the guise of this barbecue, they'd have Mexican Mafia meetings. The guys would pull to the side and they'd have their meetings. It looked normal, right? During one of these park meetings, Pelon, Jesse Moreno, greases, they're drunk. And he agrees to sponsor Eddie, Deadeye Ed. And the next day, Pelon realizes what he did and reneged on the sponsorship. And it calls Chuco, him and Tony Narizon, Tony Palacio, and reneged on their sponsorship because they co-sponsored him. And I talked to Chuco because I'm in high power in 1750, Able Row. 1700 Able Row. And I called Chuco, and he tells me, these motherfuckers, they did this, and he explained the whole situation, right? He says, now my brother's in limbo. And I said, well, I'll tell you what. I says, call up Jesse, call up everybody and say that I'll sponsor him. I said, but do me the favor, immediately after sponsor Jacko, because Jacko was in peril for participating in the murder of Cynthia Galvadan. And so was Moe. I knew that they were in peril, that Spider would have them killed first chance because they were camaradas and they participated in killing his cuñada, his sister-in-law. That's the girl that I ordered murdered. So my plan was to get them in ASAP, just to protect them because they were my friends. They were my real friends. And I knew them before I was a carnal, and they were my friends then. So, well, I met Moe after I got made, but I knew Jacko from years before. And so Chuco agreed. So we hoodwinked everybody. I sponsored Eddie, and he sponsored Jacko, and I got him in that way.
Okay. And I guess the reason why Ernie Chuco wasn't able to sponsor Deadeye because he didn't want to come off as one, nepotism, two, it's the same another V&E, and he didn't want to deal with the backlash that came with that.
Yeah, I think Chuco had the juice to pull it off because he was kind of like our de facto commissioner. But there is a gray rule in the organization that you can't sponsor homeboys and you can't sponsor your own family. So he was adhering to that. That's why Shy got Black Dan Barella to co-sponsor Sammy, because it was on Black Dan Barella, and Black Dan had a bunch of juice. So I think Chuco was just being precautious, and I had enough juice at the time because I had just put in some work for the organization, and I hadn't been dragged through the mud yet. So I was still clean, pristine guy in the organization's eyes. Yeah.
Okay. So Spider's upset because Cynthia was his sister?
Cynthia was his brother's wife.
Okay.
Little Spider, Spider Roy. It was his wife. And she was stealing, out of respect for the family, I won't go into too many details because I just have that for them, but obviously it's well documented. It's been testified to in court. It's been testified to at the BPH hearings. The family has voiced their opposition.
I've seen the family actually, I think on a television news program.
Yeah.
Speaking against it. All right, so how does Lil Moe Ruiz get in?
I floated Mo's name to the cardenales in the county jail, and amongst them was Perico Ochoa, the individual from the hotel meetings that was opposing Pelon Moreno's induction to the organization. And true to form, just like Shy had explained to me years before, that Perico is an oppositionist and he'll try to oppose anything that he doesn't control. He tried to oppose the sponsorship of Moe with the same spiel that he gave during that hotel meeting. Let's wait so all the cardenales can meet him. What has he done? And that whole rigmarole that he runs.
Now, I would like to bring this dude in because I brought it up before this came up, and I would like to, and I think he would be an asset to us, man. Not just because of any violent that he's done. He's got a good head, and he don't need nobody holding his hand. I don't have to hold his hand.
Well, how about if how many brothers here know the guy?
Nobody here knows him.
Well, see, that's the thing. How about giving some of these other brothers a chance to know the dude?
Yeah, well, see, I thought I said that
what I'm
about
saying?
Chuco.
Because see, that's one of the problems. Your brothers are not getting a chance to meet these other dudes. You know what I'm saying? Before, a dude was a brother, 4 or 5 brothers knew him. Que no, Victorio?
Yeah.
It's not just, I know the guy, I know him.
Wait a minute, there's nobody in this room that knows him, but there are vatos that know him. There's nobody in this room that know him.
Well, see, I think that's one of the problems. The other brothers are not getting a chance to know him.
Yeah, but we get dudes in all the time. Not everybody can ever know a carnal. Anybody.
Well, not everybody, but some other brothers. Yeah, brother, I'm not trying to.
No, I know what you're saying. There are other carnales that know this dude, though. Nobody in this room. The ones that know him that ran with him are busted.
Yeah, because see, then somebody here goes to county jail or goes to another pinta and they bring up this guy's name and he don't even know him. Or even if he just knows him because I know his name, but I don't know him right here. In my heart, I don't know him. I never ran with him. I ain't even drank with him. I ain't, no party with him.
How many bottles in this room do you know like that?
Well, there's just a handful here that I know, Pero
There's
maybe
a whole
that's
bunch of carnales in this room that I never knew Champ when I voted to make him a carnal. I never met him in my life. I didn't know China Boy.
Well, I
didn't
can't.
know Gibby right here. I never knew Perico. I know
Well,
the only ones in this room I know is you.
No, see,
Chuco,
there's
and
another thing
Victoria.
of voting against somebody, you know, because you don't know them. But the point here I'm trying to put here is give us a chance, the rest of the brothers a chance to know him
Yeah,
too.
well, by then,
And then like
the
that,
books are gonna be closed.
the books are supposed to be closed now.
Kind of like when Fox opposes the memberships, it's just a power and control move. And you see this with a lot of Mexican Mafia members. They try to exert their power and control in any fashion they can, and that's what Perico was trying to do to me. And I never really liked Perico. After Shy had spit on his boots and told me about him, I never liked him. So as soon as I seen the opportunity, I told Chuco, I said, this guy he didn't say no, because I didn't put Moe up for a vote. So technically I was still in the right. They couldn't get me for, hey, he voted no already, Moe's not going to be a cop. No, he couldn't do that. I just asked his opinion of it, right? So we seen that opportunity, we seized it. I made Eddie and he made Moe, and we created a voting block that way. I'm really close with Chuco. In fact, when I killed, because Jacko took part in that as well. Jacko overdosed him, and I took him and shot him. During that process, I took the body to Chuco's house. I told him, look what we have in the back seat. And then we go upstairs and we party. We had donuts, and I brought him some donuts, and I brought him some beer. I brought him a chunk of heroin. He just got out, gave him some money. So we go way back. We were really close. He was a good friend of mine. And so when I see the opposition that I'm getting from the old guard, right? Because this is the old guard. Perico's one of the old guard, one of the mustache Petes. And he's always been that way, opposing people and attempting to flex on them, however he can. And I think that comes from the impotence he felt in his life, right? But I don't want to be a thumbnail psych, right? But he did it with everybody. So I seen this opportunity. I contact Chuco, and I'm cool with Black Dan. I speak with him on the phone and Shy. I speak to these guys regularly. So I'm going to push this guy's vote through. I'm going to sponsor him. And I get that support. We backdoor it. Boom. As soon as Perico leaves the county jail, we run the vote. He's a main guy. I got blowback later for this, but it stood. It stood. It wasn't as controversial as some of the other stuff that came up later.
So Lil Moe Ruiz got made in the LA County Jail?
Yes.
Okay. And this was around the same time you was getting Jacko Padilla in as well?
Yes. A month's time. Boom, boom.
Okay.
I'm making two guys at once.
Let's get to Jesus Chuy Avila.
Jesus Chuy Avila.
From V13.
Yeah, from Venice to that.
Now this is another guy that you were involved in a sponsorship.
Yeah, but I did his like legit, right? He was legit. Funny story was we were in Tehachapi together in Southern Maximum Security Complex. This is like the Alcatraz of the 80s, right? They used to wear around little headsets, the staff, and it was like the most secure shoe. It was created, New Folsom and Tehachapi shoe were created when they shut down Old Folsom. So we're there, and Chuy's my neighbor, right? He's upstairs from me, directly connected to my vent. So I talk to him all the time, and we got to know him pretty well, right? He would make wine, and we get drunk, and he's just a good dude. And he had this dicho, right? That's like a saying, right? And we tell him, hey man, dude in that yard's got to go. And he would say, I take care of it. Because he couldn't pronounce, I'll take care of it. He'd say, I take care of it. So he'd say that, right? I take care of it. And it just endeared me to him, right? So years down the line, I see him again in Tehachapi when I come back from my murders, and he's there. And he's weathered the storm, he's done the politics, and he says, it's just a camarada still. And I tell him, I said, I want to sponsor you. And I ask her if he wants to get in. He says, yeah. So I run the vote there. I think there's 4 of us there. We run the vote, and he's made. And we send wire up to Pelican Bay, and it's good.
What did you see in him the second time around that made you decide to, bring them in?
I think from my position, I'm walling myself politically. I was walling myself politically, and I understood that. But I also saw that he weathered the storms, because not many camaradas could weather a decade of storms like that. It's not an easy life, especially for a camarada with all the politics flying, and people are getting killed at this time, right? But politics are thick in the organization, and it's just a smart move to make a couple guys, right? But one thing I learned about making guys, they're not going to be the same guy that you make. They're going to change automatically, and their political alliances change as well. Because as soon as I made Chuy, like he went to the opposite side. Like he became an oppositionist to me, and I picked that up immediately when we talked about. We were talking. I was in the same pod with me, and we went out to the law library together, and we're talking about a carnal that they wanted to kill. I believe it was Termite from Islos. That he was completely against Termite, right? Completely against Termite. He's got to go, and I'm like, it's a good brother, you know. What has he done? Oh, the carnales said this, and they said that, and he's got to go. Like there's no room for a benefit of the doubt for him, and that became his mindset, right? So I already knew, okay, I lost this guy. You know, this guy was a mistake. This guy was a mistake, right? Unfortunately, Chuy went to Mexico and started dealing with the cartels, and I believe that he stole from them and got killed.
Now, how often does a brother keep the loyalty with the person that sponsored them into the organization?
For me, I kept my loyalty. You know, I still see Shy as like my padrino, right? He's the one responsible for getting me in, and I still consider him a friend. You know, I haven't maintained a relationship with him. Obviously, we don't communicate, but I still have a feeling for the guy. Pray for him. I hope that he finds peace in his life. I'm not sure that that's going to happen. He's been through some traumatic stuff in the past. And he lost his daughter. You know, his wife, Bunny, died. His daughter overdosed. And he's getting old. His health is not the best. But I still kept that loyalty. I kept my loyalty to Sammy Villalba because I came up with him. Chuco and those guys that were my crew, I have loyalty to those guys. I still feel they're my friends. Even though they might not consider me as such, you know, I still care for those guys. But I think in a larger scale, a perfect example is San Ojeda. He makes guys and then immediately starts politicking on them. He makes guys in an attempt to control Orange County, but when they want a piece of it, he starts politicking on them. There's a few guys he's done that to, and other members have had clashes with people they sponsored. So I think when you create power, you relinquish it. When you give somebody that ability to have egalitarian status with you or equal status with you.
Do you ever hear older brothers getting upset with someone they made and often saying, "Can you believe I made that guy? And look what he's doing now." Like, is that a conversation that people have?
I've never personally heard that.
Yeah.
But I've heard disdain come out of some padrinos' mouths. Not that exact phrase, but something similar.
Okay, now real quickly, let's get an update on where these people are today. I know the answer to this, but I'm gonna let you answer. What happened to Negro Villalba?
Negro Villalba was killed in 2019 by Sureños on the railroad tracks in Long Beach, California. And that case is being adjudicated now, so I can't speak on it too much.
Okay, where is Jacko Padilla?
They had a rumor out that he was deceased, but that's proven to be false.
Deadeye Castro, unfortunately, he met his fate.
He met his fate in a street in East Los Angeles and shot multiple times by a guy he was riding with on a bike. Was riding with him, and then a car pulled up. As soon as the car pulled up, the guy on the bike peeled away, and he was shot multiple times and killed.
Okay, and that guy got arrested, right?
Just recently.
Yeah. And Where's Lil Moe Ruiz at today?
Lil Moe Ruiz was stabbed in Pelican Bay State Prison. He has a little landscaping business. Returns to jail every once in a while. I still think he has a substance abuse problem. I hope he's doing well.
He got a life sentence, obviously.
No, he's out now.
Oh, he's out.
He's out. He returns to jail on violation.
Oh, okay. And lastly, I think you briefly mentioned it. Chuy Avila went to Mexico, and what happened to him down there?
Met his fate there. He took a dirt nap. He got killed by the cartels, and obviously all the people that I mentioned, they're gone.
Yeah. Okay, and lastly, Huero Shy, Raymond Shyrock, also from Artesia, a little over a decade older than you. After you left the organization in 2002, were you ever able to send him a message or have some sort of communications with Shy?
No, I had no communication with him whatsoever. In fact, I was doing some communications analysis of his visits, and I would hear him mother effing me, like that effing rat, and but I never took it personally. I get it. It's a business, you know. It's the business. And then in some of the comments I saw that from individuals who've been to federal prison said that they did time with him and that he spoke highly of me. So I don't know what to believe, whether he hates me or he loves me or what, but I still consider him my friend. I haven't had a chance to communicate with him, and I wouldn't reach out to anybody that's currently active. It's just, I wouldn't do that. I understand their position. I might put him in a position that imperils him. I wouldn't do that. But I hold no ill will towards him. I still consider him my friend. I still pray for him. You know, I hope he finds his peace, and I hope that, you know, he's okay with what he chose.
Now, even though he didn't personally sponsor you, but everyone knows he got in because of you, when someone such as yourself decides to debrief and leave the organization, doesn't the backlash sometimes go to the guy that brought you in the first place?
No, I mean, consider all the guys that have flipped at the organization. Like half the organization has flipped. Half the guys have made it flip, right?
At least 50 people?
Yeah,
Or more?
at least.
Over the last 30 years?
Yeah, at least 50 people have flipped. And that means you got to kill 50 carnales.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen. I mean, you might get like, next time you sponsor somebody, we're going to question your judgment. But like political backlash, nah.
No, I wasn't meaning like kill him, but you lose some power. You
You lose
position.
little credibility. Like, you know. But you got to look at it this way. If you're basing your judgment on man, right? On another human being. And human beings are fallible. Like, we're all flawed, right? So how can you say this guy is true blue, he's going to stay that way forever? Because the reality is 90% of the members that get in, they flip at some point. They get whacked, they get flipped. They don't last. It's just a truism. I mean, this isn't about 401k, golden parachute, great retirement. You got one way out, you know, and it usually ends that way. You flip or you die, you know, you get killed. And unfortunately, that's reflected on all the sponsors.
Yeah, actually, if you think of all the ones that make it to their old age and die active, that number is really small. I guess Sana was one of them, right?
Sana, Ojeda, what a buff. Rube just got paroled. He's dying at home. Bobble, he didn't make it to old age. I mean, I guess
He was in his 60s.
he's in his 60s, and he died on the streets. He
But
got
that number is really small when you think about it.
really small. It's a really small number. All these guys die violent deaths, or they lock up.
Yeah, Huero Shy is probably close to 70.
70s, he's in his 70s now. He's got to be like 74 years old, 75 years old. He's an older gentleman, and unfortunately, he's going to die in prison.
Yeah, he got life without,
Yeah.
so he'll never see the time of day.